diabetes and a carnivore diet. Certainly, people have used carnivore diets to help with type 1 diabetes, undoubtedly. Certainly, you can see a great reduction in insulin requirements, overall better glycemic control. Often we sometimes even see reversal of diabetic sequelae like retinopathy, nephropathy. All those things get better on a carnivore diet. And there are some people that will make the claim that they have been able to restore insulin ability or no longer requiring insulin on a carnivore diet, which is really sort of interesting, right? And the thought would be perhaps this is a delayed honeymoon period, as some people initially get.
Well, you can actually see this. People who had insulin resistance or were type 2 diabetic, they go on carnivore, they lose weight, you see improvements to their A1C, but then over time, you see their A1C steadily increase, so their disease is still progressing and getting worse. So the benefits they're seeing are largely due to weight loss they achieve. And some of those benefits are also just due to the macronutrient breakdown of their diet. But it's causing the disease to still progress. So eating all that saturated fat, no fiber, stupid shit like that, you're just making the disease worse, even though symptoms comparatively from before are better. So why wouldn't you just eat a diet that's known to actually prevent diabetes rather than just make your diabetes worse?
Get diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, there is this gradual decline in their insulin secretion ability as these beta cells continue to fail further and further as they succumb to the disease, and that can be delayed maybe for many years perhaps, and that is certainly plausible. There is some thought that maybe some of these type 1 diabetics were actually misdiagnosed, which does happen. Maybe they have something called LADA, late autoimmune diabetes of adulthood. They might have perhaps type 2 it's just been misdiagnosed for whatever reason. And then the other thought would be, well, maybe there are people that clearly put autoimmune diseases in remission on carnivore. We see it with Crohn's disease, we see it with rheumatoid arthritis, we see it with psoriasis, on and on. And why wouldn't type 1 diabetes be any different? And maybe there's a small subset. Perhaps there is a thought that type 1 diabetes is not a singular entity, and that there are different variations. In fact, there are variations of type 1 diabetes that have been described, and maybe certain percentage.
Boring.
Scurvy. Now, I've been doing a carnivore diet now for roughly, a little over 8 years now, and believe it or not, I don't actually have scurvy. Scurvy is thought to take place over a period of a couple months, usually about 3 months. People that are going to get complete absence of vitamin C or vitamin C deficiency will develop the signs and symptoms of scurvy, which...
I don't know if there's any formerly described cases of scurvy from people following a carnivore diet, but I have seen people make posts on Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, claiming that they were following a carnivore diet and they did indeed end up getting scurvy. So people have anecdotally reported that, and one of them was a medical doctor. I remember that specifically. There was a guy who was a medical doctor who tried a carnivore diet, and he ended up getting scurvy after, I think, a month. So the people who aren't getting scurvy, they're either consuming enough organ meats to prevent it. They may be adding spices to their food, so like cayenne pepper, which is very high in vitamin C, and most people on the carnivore diet are in fact doing that. They are adding spices to their food that contain vitamin C. Or they're not following a strict carnivore diet, which again, most of them aren't. They go on the carnivore diet and they will still eat some fruits and vegetables here and there. Even Sean Baker does this. He's admitted to it. He eats fruit here and there. He goes off his diet occasionally. So all of these people are just frauds and complete idiots.
Include teeth falling out, gums bleeding, joints bleeding, skin breaking open, and eventually fatigue and death. That's not happened to me, nor has it happened to any person that I've ever heard of on a carnivore diet where that has legitimately been diagnosed. Now, a few people said, oh, my gums were bleeding a little bit or something along those lines, which certainly could be related to a whole bunch of other things, often dental trauma just from chewing too hard or brushing teeth. But we've never seen anybody with the actual diagnosis of scurvy.
There are people online who have said they were diagnosed with scurvy.
And to think about that, if indeed that is the case, which it clearly appears to be so, and there are now thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of people who've done carnivore diets for much longer than several months without developing these signs of scurvy. And we've got that basic fact about nutrition wrong. I mean, this is a very basic fundamental fact about nutrition, which has been shown to be wrong. What does it show you about the rest of nutrition? Does that indicate
It is not wrong. You're just an idiot.
that there are a lot of holes and a lot of problems with nutrition research in general? And I would submit that certainly there are. I think there's a whole lot of things we're missing the boat. And
Again, this guy has admitted that he does go off his diet occasionally, doesn't always eat carnivore, and then he's claiming, oh, if you eat nothing but meat, you won't get scurvy. He doesn't even follow a strict carnivore diet.
yet people are making these proclamations and policy decisions based upon a really, really bad science. Now, you can talk about why we don't seem to get scurvy. I mean, we do know that meat, even muscle meat, not to mention organ meats, have vitamin C in it in small amounts. But more importantly, it seems to be that.
So I've done the calculation for this. If you're consuming enough calories per day, you may be able to prevent scurvy if you're eating only skeletal muscle tissue, but you have to eat quite a bit. It's around 3,000 calories per day. And that's assuming you're eating all grass-fed steak, which tends to be higher in vitamin C. So you might be able to, and by the way, that's also assuming you're consuming the meat raw. So the cooking process is likely also going to reduce the vitamin C content. And that's only just enough to prevent scurvy. So you may still have a vitamin C you would still have a vitamin C deficiency, but that's just to prevent scurvy. So the likelihood of you being able to eat a strict carnivore diet, and I mean only steak, no spices that would contain vitamin C, so you're only adding like salt to your meat, you are likely going to get scurvy, like almost guaranteed, and no one's eating that way. You won't find a single person online who's eating nothing but steak with like just salt added. And even if they're eating enough calories total to get enough vitamin C to prevent scurvy, they're still going to be vitamin C deficient, which is not good. You're going to increase your risk of like dementia, cognitive decline, shit like that.